One of the major points of compatibility between people and why people get along well with one person and not the other depends on how their major planets come together. And in metaphysics, the major planet is really, which most people don't really know, is determined by the day you're born. There are 31 days in a month, and there's only 12 planets. So when somebody thinks that somebody's born on an individual day, how much more important and rare it is than what month they're born. The month also has a significance, but more to how they feel internally. The day is more personal to them. There are 31 days. If you're born on the 1st, you have different tendencies than you're born on the 31st or the 5th. So there's a bigger variance. When you look at compatibility between people, you look at when you put the two birthdays, the day of the month that they're born, together, it forms a third personality. In this chart here, it says sun to sun. It's like somebody born on the 1st and somebody born on the 1st equals a 2. But there are a lot of variables. I was going to write down all the variables, but they get into a lot of, you would need a long chart. But sun to sun, don't forget the sun is represented by the 1st, 10th, 19th, or 28th day of any month. And the sun and the moon are considered natural partners in a way. But when we have sun to sun, 1 plus 1 equals 2, which is the moon. The sun to sun are usually very emotional with each other, as is the moon. And sun to moon develops a Jupiter type of personality. They're very social together. They tend to be more friendly to each other. They seem to be more involved with siblings, young people, friends, and also they're very leader-like people. The sun and Jupiter are leader-like people. They tend to be that way. When you put the sun and Jupiter together, which is 1 and 3, and don't forget the sun is 1, 10, 19th, or 28th day of the month, it becomes Uranus. And Uranus is kind of a stubborn type of planet, and it's very kind of like mundane, oriented, schedule, service, dependability, hard work, dull in a way, monotonous. The relationship seems to be more of a structured type of thing than a fun type of thing or an emotional type of thing. It's more like down to business, and there could be a locking of heads in that situation. And when you take somebody born on the 1st and anybody born in the 4th series, the 4th series is the 4th, 13th, 22nd, or 31st. They become like a Mercury together. There's change and travel, communication, more public contact. Now to go back a little bit, the sun to the moon is the 2nd, 11th, 20th, or 29th. And of course, the sun to sun, we know that's the 1, 10th, 19th, or 28th day of the month. Uranus, I just explained, and Mercury is the 5th, 14th, or 23rd. So the sun to Mercury kind of gives a Venus type of thing. 1 and 5 is 6. And Mercury, like I said, is the 5th, 14th, or 23rd of any month. And Venus means they're an attractive couple together. They look fine. They're more family or responsible oriented type of people. And the sun to Venus, which is the 6th, 5th, 16th or 24th day of any month develops into a Neptune. They're kind of like a religious or spacey or emotional inward learning. It could be education or medical type of people, anything like that. Because when you put two birthdays together, it brings another thing. And when you go to Sun to Neptune, and Neptune's planets are the 7th, 16th, or 25th of any month, they become like Saturn type of people, very withdrawn. Saturn could have something to do with education, even if there's educational differences. It also draws property assets or legal matters. And it's a financial, they can be together for financial reasons. The Sun, the Saturn, brings Mars, 1 plus 8. And Saturn could be the 8th, the 17th, or the 26th day of any month. And Mars is a very mentally astute situation, but very explosive at the same time. They have to avoid hassles. Now, the Moon to the Sun, they become like Jupiter, again, social, dealing with children, young people, siblings. There's more contact that way. And they're leadership type of people. And Moon to Moon would come into Uranus, which again is that stubborn, mundane, routine, discipline type of order. It's kind of like more like your nose to the grindstone than having fun. The Moon to Jupiter creates Mercury, which is change, travel, public contact, communication. And the Moon to Mercury develops what that they call a Neptune type of thing, learning, introspective, etc. So this is an idea of how the planets line up. I'll continue. I was going to go into the individual months, days, like the Sun is also the 1st, 10th, 19th, or 28th, but the combinations become extremely large when you do it that way. The combinations become huge. So I'll go into some more. These are basic because there's a subdivision to each number. Like the Neptune is 7, 16, and 25. So if you start getting every combination of the Sun with those numbers, it does really change the overall thing. But I'm just giving an overall impression. But for instance, if you took the Sun and the Neptune, the 16th, that brings the 17th, and that means that people will meet trials and tribulations and have to work things out. So if somebody came to me individually, I can tell them what them and another birthday, the major planets, which is the day of the month that they're born, equals, because there's hundreds of combinations.